Post-training notice. National First Class Registered Exorcist. Chapter 94. Going home. Beijing, the Exorcist Committee Building. The Communications Department. The electronic voice reported the level they were on. Chen Zhen walked into the communications department. Chen Lang was leaning back in a swivel chair, asleep. In front of him was a large holographic projection computer. Chen Zhen took off his jacket and covered his brother up with it, before bending over to press several keys, and moving back to look through the materials that Chen Lang was reading. Jixian, the electronic voice of the system read. A kind of monster that can use the power of souls to read the future. Time of birth, the ancient past. Record entered by Yao subduing engineer Zhi Ziaduo. Dense lines of text scrolled across the screen, explaining in detail the entire process of the Jixian case. Chen Zhen raised a hand and pulled the files to the other side, before he swiped his fingers and pulled out the glowing screen behind it. The immortal Fuji is composed of a pair of devils, the Bixian and the Diaxian. Physical form, old men. Persons involved, Yanfei. And below that was a long biography about Yanfei. Corrections. In the process of communicating with Yanfei of the organizational division. Thanks to Wang Lei's introduction, managed to open communications with Yanfei. Method of communication, unclear. The nine-tailed celestial fox, who's in Yang. A kind of monster that can see into the hearts of humans. Its cultivation has been built up over the course of almost a millennia. Time of birth, the ancient past. Persons who encountered it, Yao subduing engineer Zhi Ziaduo. Gagantoru Rakita and Chen Zhen added. Black-winged great pen, a high-level Yao, extremely dangerous. Cultivation, unclear. Time of birth, the ancient past. Have there been any new developments? Chen Lang woke up and asked Chen Zhen with sign language. Chen Zhen, it's a hot potato right now. I cannot get rid of Jian Wen's authority, because he has hopped right over Beijing and had orders sent to the Chongqing Exorcist Committee from someone even higher up. Then what should we do? Chen Lang asked. Chen Zhen, I've already informed teacher Zhou of this. He and the old Buddha are thinking of methods. Chen Lang, I saw what you said into the phone. Did Xiang Cheng run into his mortal enemy? Chen Zhen, Kita sent back some news. The black-winged great pen has already been consumed by the Daodi. Whatever the Daodi consumes, it can turn into, so it might go back and cause more trouble for Xiang Cheng. What are you looking at? This case is already closed. Chen Lang nodded and gestured. I was thinking, why did the Jixian help Yanfei? Chen Zhen, they each had their own interests motivating them in that exchange. Wang Lei was Yanfei's superior, so Wang Lei sent Yanfei information, and he also dispatched the Jixian to go assist him. Chen Lang, can I look over Wang Lei's resume? Chen Zhen pulled out a USB and stuck it into the slot on the side of the computer. Chen Lang opened it with read permissions and began to read over Wang Lei's file. Look, in Wang Lei's resume, there's nothing about him having ever directly encountered the Jixian. Chen Zhen, he's in cahoots with the Sacred Lands group, and the Jixian had been sent by the Sacred Land. Chen Lang, things might not have played out like that, because immortal Fuji was not a Yao. It was a devil created from the world and from human hearts. In Ziaduo's mission report, he mentioned 10,000 devils greeting their emperor on the night of the Zhongyuan festival, and the Jixian falls under the governance of the Ghost King. It needs to worship the Ghost King, which is why, despite being called a twin devil, it is actually a kind of ghost, and it doesn't belong to the same hierarchy as Yaoguai do. It takes orders from the Ghost King, just like how Yaoguai take their orders from Mara. They belong to two separate systems. Chen Zhen was frowning heavily, and he fell silent for a long time, before he finally nodded slightly. Chen Lang continued to speak in sign language to Chen Zhen. That's why I have always felt that immortal Fuji doesn't have much overlap with the Sacred Land. Chen Lang opened up another set of notes for the case. Chen Lang, look, Huan Yuanji wrote this one. She mentioned that the Jixian had said to Yan Fei that this was something it had promised Yan Fei to help him with. But in Yan Fei's records, he has never interacted with the Jixian before this. The only possibility then is that Lin Yura knows the Jixian. But it would have been impossible for Lin Yura to give Yan Fei orders, because if she had caused all of this, then she wouldn't have a reason to set up a trap to harm her own nephew. Chen Zhen said, not the old Buddha. Chen Zhen, that also means that the person in the shadows behind the Jixian and Yan Fei agreed to help only because of some private debts they had. Chen Lang then typed out another command, pulling up Lin Yura's background. He perused it for a bit, before he then flipped to the case proceedings and said to Chen Zhen, let's assume that that person and the Jixian have a relationship that was established a long time ago. Then under what circumstances would they have met the Jixian? The greatest possibility is during a mission. Chen Zhen nodded, and Chen Lang pulled up a different screen. I looked through the contents of all the documents the Exorcist committee had. Chen Lang typed characters into that command line, before pressing the Enter key. The screen was blank. Chen Zhen, there are indeed no records regarding the Jixian at all. Chen Lang nodded, watching Chen Zhen. Having no records is also a kind of record, Chen Zhen replied to Chen Lang, pulling a chair over and sitting down. Someone may have hidden this record. Chen Lang nodded, and the two brothers looked at each other silently. Who is able to enter the Exorcist committee and change the archives of the communications department? Chen Lang asked in gestures. Teacher Zhou. I remember that he was previously the director of the communications division. Aside from him, who else is there? Chen Zhen, I imagine we will be approaching the truth very soon, but I feel like it can't be Teacher Zhou. There's one more possibility. If this bit of history happened before the Exorcist committee started using an electronic system, and the records were lost, then they wouldn't appear here. My guess is that this time period was before 1980, because back then, the Exorcist committee hadn't yet started to use computers to preserve their records. You've reminded me, I'll go take a look in the records room. Chen Zhen thought about it before moving to unplug the USB, only for Chen Lang to stop him. I've already checked. There's nothing in the records room either. What we've been doing recently was inputting old records into the system, and it's in none of the records from after the founding of the nation. The records from the Mingguo era are in Taipei, and I can't look through them, but there are two other points I cannot understand. Chen Lang gestured at Chen Zhen, before pulling up the case record for another case. Inside was an almost pitch-black picture. Chen Lang, the demonic loop spell proved from another angle that it was the Jixian who lured Xiang Chen into the endless hallway. Chen Zhen, that's true. Chen Lang poked at a few things and enlarged the image. The darkened level of the drum tower appeared. The lighting was very dim, and they could faintly make out the talisman stuck to the horizontal beam. This was the first time after Xiang Chen came to Beijing, the first place that the Jixian brought him to. Do you remember what lured him to that spot? Chen Zhen sucked in a deep breath. The Jixian. But Chen Lang waved his hand. What I mean is, why did Xiang Chen come to Beijing to capture the Jixian? I remember that Zhi Ziaduo told me before, it was because Xiang Chen had been informed by Qi Wei that there was an artifact, a family heirloom of his, in Beijing, in the hands of a Yaoguai named Jixian. Chen Zhen pulled out his phone, wanting to give Qi Wei a call, but Chen Lang gestured for him to wait a moment as he began to sign swiftly. A Yaoguai had inadvertently told the Qi family, and they had learned of the artifact's whereabouts. Because his dad had been involved in the matter many years ago, Qi Wei felt guilt towards Xiang Chen, so he told him that Akila's weapons were in Beijing. But after Xiang Chen came to Beijing, he found out that the Jixian did not have any artifacts at all. It was just at the very end, through a series of coincidences, that Xiang Chen managed to obtain the Sword of Wisdom. Now that was very odd. Could this person have long since known that the Jixian would have definitely gotten the Sword of Wisdom? This is the first issue that I can't understand. Chen Zhen, the answer to that is not hard to guess at. The Jixian cast a spell to glimpse at the future twice. The first time was when it was looking for the whereabouts of the Sword of Wisdom, and the second time was when it was helping Yanfei predict the future. Chen Lang, since the Jixian had predicted where the Sword of Wisdom was and even where it would be able to get its hands on it, then who was it that informed Xiang Cheng and had him come to Beijing to nab the sword? There's no way it could have been the Jixian itself. Chen Zhen, it wouldn't be the Jixian itself, but the news may have leaked, and someone may have told Xiang Cheng. N, who was the one who leaked the news? That's a point of suspicion. What's the second? Chen Lang, the second question is, what does the Jixian need one of Akalanatha's weapons for? Does it have a hoarding problem? Chen Zhen, why couldn't it? Chen Lang, it couldn't have, because the Sword of Wisdom is something that is used to slaughter devils. Any being will feel fear in its heart towards that which can subdue it. Chen Zhen, I once believed that the Jixian might have wanted to divine the one thing in this world that could kill it, or perhaps it had been previously injured by a successor of Akalanatha, which is why it divined what happened to the Sword of Wisdom and thus wanted to find this object and destroy it. Unfortunately, news about it was accidentally leaked and finally Xiang Cheng learned of it. Chen Lang, that's too weird for it to be fussing like that for no reason. If the Sword of Wisdom is a threat to them, then wouldn't simply destroying Xiang Cheng resolve the issue? Why did they need to go make things difficult for a sword? The Jixian obviously holds no grudge against the Xiang family, nor does the issue of needing to remove a threat exist, otherwise they wouldn't have toyed with Xiang Cheng that way and then told you where to find him. Chen Zhen, you're right. Thinking about this from another perspective, this must have been an important hidden clue, it's just that I never thought it through. Chen Lang, these two problems exist at odds with each other. First, who leaked the info to Xiang Cheng? Second, if it was the sacred land that spurred the Jixian into doing what they did, then since they already knew where the Sword of Wisdom was, why wouldn't they have had Yanfei steal it instead and hand the Sword of Wisdom to Wang Lei, or take it directly to the sacred land? Why did they have to make such a large loop around? There's another possibility. Chen Zhen rose, made a cup of coffee, and handed it to Chen Lang. With the back of his hand facing outwards, he put up two fingers. The person who told Yanfei to go seek out the Jixian and the person who asked the exam questions are the same person, and the person who directed the Jixian to seek out the whereabouts of the Sword of Wisdom and had Yanfei bring the sword in exchange was a different person. Chen Lang, N. That way things make sense. Let's call them A and B. My guess is that A is with the sacred land, while B is the one hidden in the Exorcist committee who sent down the lightning. A is Wang Lei and Jinghao's superior. A doesn't care about the Sword of Wisdom, or at least they don't care about it right now. If they cared, then they would have been able to take it away very easily. A doesn't even know where the Sword of Wisdom is locked away. Chen Zhen, that's right. If A knew that what Yanfei brought was the Sword of Wisdom, they would have never handed it to the Jixian. Instead, they would have taken it themselves. Chen Lang, A only wanted to carry out his original plan, to let Wang Lei's people infiltrate and thus gain control of the majority of the Exorcist department. B, on the other hand, through the Jixian's predictions, learned of the whereabouts of the sword and hoped to retrieve the Sword of Wisdom and hand it over to Xiang Cheng. He wanted to borrow Xiang Cheng's hand to get rid of A and Mara. Now, the goals of both sides are very clear. A and B both know the Jixian. Chen Zhen nodded, but he didn't speak. Chen Lang continued to break down the situation. At the beginning, through the orders that Wang Lei gave Yanfei, A had a plan to get in contact with the Jixian, probe about the exam questions and send their own people in the Exorcist committee. B, on the other hand, sensed it as soon as A began to take action. So, B decided to use the deal that A and the Jixian had struck between themselves to take out two birds with one stone. B first found the Jixian and had the Jixian use the power of souls to predict where the sword of wisdom was, so that they could confirm the whereabouts of the sword. B let this side be for now, and without giving away anything at all, sent a little Yao Guai to leak the news to the Qi family, who then told Xiang Cheng that the sword of wisdom was in Beijing, and then told Xiang Cheng to come. Then, Xiang Cheng came to Beijing, and B began to bide their time patiently, until Yan Fei stole the sword of wisdom for the Jixian. Chen Zhen, this train of thought is correct. Continue. Chen Lang, after B got the sword of wisdom, they would have figured out a way to hand it over to Xiang Cheng, but because you guys ferreted them out, after a series of coincidences, Xiang Cheng managed to get his hands on it himself. According to the report, back then, Yan Fei had strongly emphasized one phrase: after the deed is done, I will naturally give it to you. What purpose would I have keeping it for myself? Which meant that Yan Fei had no idea what the sword of wisdom could be used for, nor did he know what he was holding. But B knew. That's right. B must have known. Chen Zhen's heart stopped beating for a moment. B knew what purpose the sword of wisdom served. N. Chen Lang scratched his head. Chen Lang, with that then, everything makes sense. Now, B has the following markers to their identity. 1. They recognize the Jixian. They have the power to intercept the tasks that A handed to Yan Fei, and from them, learned of A's motives. 2. Yan Fei's movements were something that only he and Wang Lei knew of. My guess then is that B heard updates from Yan Fei from Wang Lei, and Wang Lei was also a double agent. On the surface, Wang Lei was working for A, but in reality, he was working for B, just like how on the surface, Yan Fei works for A, but in reality he was one of the old Buddha's people. With that, B has accomplished two tasks. The first is to successfully get the sword of wisdom and hand it over to Xiang Cheng. The second was through his own spy Wang Lei, accomplish A's task on the surface, but in reality swap all of the new people in the Exorcist department to Wang Lei's subordinates. They would then be controlled by his own people. Two birds with one stone, that's really too clever. Third, B knew of the uses the sword of wisdom had, and knew that the sword of wisdom was in the Exorcist committee, but he did not know which lockbox in the storeroom contained the sword. Fourth, B could keep track of Xiang Cheng and Zhi Ziaduo's locations at any given time. Chen Zhen, but since Wang Lei's true identity was that of B's man, why did B not directly order Wang Lei to have Yan Fei bring the sword of wisdom out and hand it to him? Chen Lang, because if B gave orders through Wang Lei, A, even from far away in the sacred land, would know. A planted the devil seed in Wang Lei's body to control him, so A was very clear on every single movement of Wang Lei's. If he found that Wang Lei wasn't acting right in any way, A would get rid of him. That's why B never contacted Wang Lei, but B knew what Wang Lei was doing. B is very clever, and in these past few years, has also been very careful. The reason why you all investigated for so long but could not find someone else behind Wang Lei was exactly because of this. If it hadn't been for Ziaduo's reminder, no one would have discovered B's existence. Chen Zhen, I understand now. Based on the action of B handing the sword of wisdom to Xiang Cheng, I am very suspicious whether he's a friend or foe. Why would he do that? Chen Lang shook his head. Chen Zhen glanced at the clock. It was 1:30 in the afternoon. You didn't sleep at all last night, you should go back and rest, Chen Zhen said. I'll give Ziaduo a call. I need to confirm a detail with him. What detail? Chen Lang asked. As Chen Zhen made the call, he gestured with his other hand. Whether or not Teacher Zhou knew which lockbox the sword of wisdom was originally in. If Teacher Zhou knew, then it definitely isn't him. Chen Lang came over and leaned up against Chen Zhen's shoulder, watching his phone. I also miss Ziaduo a lot. Chen Lang gently used sign language to make a few gestures, pointing at his own heart, before signing, he really has had it rough. The prompt, however, stated that they were out of service, so Chen Zhen toyed around with his phone while Chen Lang sent Zhi Ziaduo a WeChat message. Zhi Ziaduo, however, did not respond. Fendu. Behind him, Lang Dog yelped, "You have a WeChat message. Ignore WeChat messages at such a time as this." Zhi Ziaduo shouted anxiously as he guided Xiang Cheng along, avoiding the regions where the Yaoqi billowed into the sky. Suddenly, his vision blurred, and in front of the off-road vehicle smashing its way forward, the trees and shrubs seemed to double. "What's wrong?" Xiang Cheng asked. "I can't see clearly," Zhi Ziaduo said, covering his right eye, only to find that the dragon pupil seemed unable to see Yaogui very clearly. "It keeps flashing." "Use the Yao energy bell," Xiao Bin said. Zhi Ziaduo pulled out the Yao energy bell from within the bag, and as soon as he raised it, it began to ring incessantly. The bell began to ring urgently and wildly. Xiang Cheng turned the car around, and Zhi Ziaduo hung the bell on the rear-view mirror, while the bell continued to shake. "There are less on the north side," Zhi Ziaduo said. "The north side is a mountain road," Xiang Cheng replied. "We won't be able to cross it." "Xiao Bin, protect Zhi Ziaduo, I'll go ahead to open a path." "No," Zhi Ziaduo said. "Don't turn into the boss snake, it's too dangerous." Xiang Cheng was silent for a moment, before he asked, "Why's that?" "Instinct," Zhi Ziaduo replied, looking out anxiously at the area in front of the car. "There must be a reason why Jinghao gathered all of the Yaos and devils here to surround us. At such a time, we must be very cautious." "I'll get off and lure them away," Xiao Bin offered. In front of them, a group of crows cawed at the same time, and a familiar voice spoke in the air. "Xiang Cheng, what have you returned here to do?" It was Wang Lei. "Go back to the sacred land immediately," Wang Lei replied. Xiang Cheng did not reply, instead driving the car swiftly along the mountain road. Jianwen stood up high, observing the off-road vehicle at the foot of the mountain. "Jinghao must be nearby," Xiao Bin said. "What exactly are they trying to do?" Xiang Cheng focused on driving. Zhi Ziaduo said, "There must be some way to subdue him, and as long as we figure out how to do so." Zhi Ziaduo kept feeling as if something wasn't right, but he couldn't quite grasp why. The off-road vehicle bounced violently along, and as it jolted, Zhi Ziaduo looked at Xiang Cheng. Could Jinghao be thinking of eating Xiang Cheng? He would be able to gain the abilities of whoever he consumed. So if... "I've got it!" Zhi Ziaduo exclaimed, "I've got it!" "What?" Xiang Cheng turned the steering wheel. Zhi Ziaduo's pupils shrank slightly. Why Jinghao existed in the first place, and why the blood devil injected the blood of the Daodi into him. Zhi Ziaduo shouted. "The blood devil's goal is to turn Jinghao into Mara." It couldn't find the snake Huan, so it used its own disciple as an experiment. If it had its disciple eat Mara, Jinghao would obtain the devil seed. Xiao Bin. What Qi Wei had said, and the sect that Jinghao belonged to, his appearance in Chongqing, all of that linked up in Zhi Ziaduo's mind. At the very beginning, the blood devil must have had an idea in mind, but Jinghao was caught and brought back 10 years ago, and had been detained in the Exorcist committee all along. And after he returned to the sacred land, Xiang Cheng's identity as the successor had been exposed, and the devil seed in his body had been stimulated by Hu Ziniang. So with that, the blood devil turned its attention to dealing with the difficult problem of Xiang Cheng. Since it hoped to continue to manipulate Mara, and it also wanted to have Mara keep the ability to reincarnate, then the only choice was to let Jinghao eat Xiang Cheng, absorb his snake Han and the devil seed, and become the new Mara. Xiang Cheng replied absent-mindedly. "Smart, as expected of my wife." A black panther raced down the mountain and landed on top of the car. The crows flew around, the entire flock attacking the off-road vehicle, and several times, it seemed as if the car was about to topple over. "He's waiting for you to turn into a Yao," Zhi Xiaoduo said. "We have to figure out a way to shake Jinghao off. Right now, the power to command both the exorcists and the Yao lies with him. Chen Zhen will strip him of his command," Xiang Cheng said in reply. "Chen Zhen doesn't have the authority to do so," Chao Ben said. "We can only endeavor to do our best." A dense mass of Yao and devils filled the entire peak of the mountain in a thick blanket. "It's coming," Zhi Xiaoduo said. "Do not exchange blows with it. Avoid it instead, and after we regroup with Fengli and Kita, we can figure out some way to deal with it then." As soon as Xiang Cheng transformed into the boss snake, although he would be very powerful, it would be difficult for him to escape with Wang Lei poking his nose in from the side and with the group of Yao all attacking him at once. The bell chimed wildly. They had entered the interior of Fengdu, into the center of the Yao encirclement. The Daodi spread its wings and came charging down, crashing into the off-road vehicle. The car flew into the air from the impact, doing a full revolution, before the Daodi opened its mouth wide and chomped down on it. The car doors sprung open, and Lang Dog and Chao Ben sprung out from the left and right. Chao Ben struck the Daodi's left eye with a fist, and the Daodi bellowed. Chao Ben then somersaulted through the air and landed behind the Daodi, yanking its tail and hefting it so that that huge beast went flying through the air, crashing headfirst into a cliffside. The inside of the car was empty, and Zhi Xiaoduo and Xiang Cheng were nowhere to be seen. On the other side of the valley, Xiang Cheng led Zhi Xiaoduo along as they walked along a creek. There was an explosion from up above, and when Zhi Xiaoduo turned his head back to look, the off-road vehicle fell off the cliff. "Chao Ben's physical skills are very strong," Xiang Cheng said. "He's the division leader of the supervisory department, so don't worry about him." "Where to?" Zhi Xiaoduo asked. "It's still very far," Xiang Cheng said. "We'll head into the tunnel first, let's go." The peaks of the Fengdu Mountains had many quarries scattered amongst them, and many of those had their associated ores as well, so there were tunnels that connected up all through the mountains, a complicated network that intersected and looped. Xiang Cheng entered a cave, and as he listened to the sound of the wind in his ear, he said, "This way." Zhi Xiaoduo saw that there was a kerosene lamp on the wall, so he lifted it off the wall and lit it with a lighter. He held the lamp in one hand and took Xiang Cheng's hand with the other, linking their fingers together. The two of them stumbled their way through the tunnel. Si Gui flew towards them, only for Xiang Cheng to send it deeper into the tunnels to scout out the way. "I'll carry you," Xiang Cheng said. "The path here isn't easy to travel." "Okay, domineering president." Zhi Xiaoduo climbed onto Xiang Cheng's back. Xiang Cheng was wearing his tracksuit, his pants legs rolled up to the knees, but even in his basketball shoes, the tunnel was not very easy to walk through. "Before, I always wanted to bring you home," Xiang Cheng said. "I wanted to visit my ancestors' graves and take our vows on Mount Wu. I never thought that we would come back in such a way." Zhi Xiaoduo leaned up against Xiang Cheng's back as Xiang Cheng walked slowly through the tunnel. Zhi Xiaoduo held the lamp up, lighting up the depths of the tunnel, which stretched before them without an end. The wind whistled along through the spacious passageway. Si Gui flew back, and Xiang Cheng whistled at it and pointed behind him. Si Gui flew in the direction they had come, checking to see if any Yao had followed them. Zhi Xiaoduo suddenly began to chuckle. "What are you laughing about?" Xiang Cheng asked. "Si Gui's so busy," Zhi Xiaoduo said. "Even before I was born, Si Gui was already following my dad around," Xiang Cheng said. "Is it a phoenix?" Zhi Xiaoduo asked. "But it's been so long, and I've only seen it change once." "Its power is very weak," Xiang Cheng said. "My dad said that a long time ago, it was grievously injured once, and it lost a large amount of its spiritual power. Right now, it is already very, very old." "Then will it die?" Zhi Xiaoduo asked. "I don't know," Xiang Cheng replied. After Dad died, for a very long time, the only one who kept me company was Si Gui. While Dad was still alive, I once heard him mention to another exorcist that once I am unable to control my own Yao Han, Si Gui should be able to subdue me. Xiang Cheng walked along the rugged stone path, and the deeper they went, the harder it was to walk. They were accompanied by the faint sound of flowing water, and sometimes, they even had to climb up ladders. For the third time, Si Gui flew over, and it quietly perched on Zhi Ziaduo's shoulder. Zhi Ziaduo was also able to guess at what Si Gui was conveying. There were no pursuers. Sleep for a while, Xiang Cheng said. 1, 2, 3. Sleep. Zhi Ziaduo shut his eyes, smiling slightly. He tilted his head and leaned it up in the crook of Xiang Cheng's neck. Xiang Cheng snapped his fingers and cast a spell, and the kerosene lamp floated into the air, bobbing along with them like a floating lantern as they continued forwards. Zhi Ziaduo had a dream. Recently, he had been dreaming more and more frequently. He dreamt of himself sitting on the boss snake's head, and his body in the dream seemed to be dazed as well, as if he was sleeping here too. The boss snake slithered along, continuing further along into the dark passageway. At the very end, there was a bit of light, and in the middle of the light, there was a sacrificial altar. The boss snake devotedly deposited Zhi Ziaduo on the altar, before it curled its body up to protect that altar. Zhi Ziaduo lay on the altar, and he opened his eyes and looked up. The boss snake lowered its head to study him, its snake head nosing affectionately at Zhi Ziaduo's cheek. In the distance came a muffled sound, and Zhi Ziaduo woke, only to find that Xiang Cheng was holding him in his arms. The lamp was on the floor, and Xiang Cheng had his back to the wall of the tunnel as he sat there, leaning on his face as he nodded off. "What time is it?" Zhi Ziaduo asked. Xiang Cheng did his best to wake up, and he opened his eyes to glance at his watch. "It's 10 o'clock at night." Had he already slept for so long? Zhi Ziaduo dug out the biscuits in his bag, and the two of them split them and ate them. The tracksuit that Xiang Cheng was wearing was already dirty and disheveled. Zhi Ziaduo thought about when the two of them had first met, when Xiang Cheng had moved into his apartment to share the lease, about how that worker's outfit had been messed up in the same way. Fengdu's mountains were blanketed by dark clouds, and another streak of lightning slashed through the sky. "It's thundering." Xiang Cheng stuck one hand in his pocket, while he held Zhi Ziaduo's with the other, continuing to walk into the depths of the tunnel. This was the third tunnel that they were passing through on this road. Very soon, they reached the end of the tunnel. Outside was a vast river, whose waters were an endless, churning mass. The heavens opened up, and a torrential rain began to fall. "Have we reached your home yet?" Zhi Ziaduo asked. "I moved twice," Xiang Cheng said. "From when I was small until the year I turned 7, we lived in my first home. After Mama left, Dad and I moved once, to our second home." Zhi Ziaduo looked across at the other bank of the river. In the distance, on the slope of the mountain stood a forest of villas. "That is my first home," Xiang Cheng said. "Or was, once." End chapter. Post-training notice. National First Class Registered Exorcist. Chapter 95. Clash. "Do you still want to go?" Zhi Ziaduo asked. Over the next mountain." Xiang Cheng said, "If I remember correctly, that is the place where my mom and dad met." Thunder exploded, and a flash of lightning shot down from the sky. The trees on top of the mountain caught fire and burned fiercely. Zhi Ziaduo saw a black Yao bird hovering at the top of the mountain. It seemed like thousands of monsters were hiding in the forest. There were Yao and devils in front, and pursuers behind. It was raining so heavily that it was hard to see around them. "But now, let's rest for a bit." Xiang Cheng said, "We'll wait until the rain gets lighter." "You eat something?" Xiang Cheng pulled apart some bread, put a slice of cheese in the bread, and handed it to Zhi Ziaduo. What about you? I'm not hungry. Xiang Cheng leaned over, bent his long legs, rested his elbows on Zhi Ziaduo's shoulder, and looked quietly out at the rainy night. They sat at the front of the dripping cave, looking out at the dark world, which flashed with lightning from time to time. The Lord asks when I will return, but I do not know. Night rain swells autumnal pools on Ba Mountain, Zhi Ziaduo says. The southwest region of Ba Mountain often rains. 12 years ago, it felt exactly the same as it does now. Xiang Cheng said, Ziaduo, actually I want you to go back, but I know you won't turn back. Since you know I won't go back, then no need to say anything. Zhi Ziaduo ate bread and drank milk expressionlessly. Xiang Cheng looked at Ziaduo and smiled a little. Zhi Ziaduo wanted to say something to Xiang Cheng, but he didn't think it was necessary to say any more. He finished eating his bread, brushed off his hands, and sat in Xiang Cheng's arms. Xiang Cheng hugged him from behind, and they looked out at the evening rain together. The rain got a bit lighter. As soon as Xiang Cheng breathed in, Zhi Ziaduo felt that he wanted to talk and said, Don't say anything inauspicious. Xiang Cheng was amused. A moment later, he said, I was just thinking that there are others who like you. I haven't brought you anything, instead, I've made you suffer day in and day out. Like who? Zhi Ziaduo asked. Xiao Bin. Xiang Cheng replied. You're overthinking it. Zhi Ziaduo laughed and said, It'd be even more reasonable for you to suspect Kita than him. Why are you suddenly bringing him up? I also only got to know this person just now. Xiang Cheng replied, When they went to Guangzhou to protect you this winter, logically speaking, Xiao Bin was more familiar with you, but he didn't appear in front of you. I thought the people at your side would be Xiao Bin, Kita, and Chen Zhen, but unexpectedly, Qi Wei introduced Xian Hezi to you instead. Zhi Ziaduo hesitated for a moment and said, Maybe his personality is not suitable for being a boyfriend Ba, or maybe he had other tasks. I really haven't thought about this aspect of it before. Do you people with high IQs all like to find reasons from such details? Xiang Cheng, I guess he didn't want to meet you because he didn't know what to say to you. Sometimes I also have this feeling. On New Year's Eve in Macau, when I saw you, I was actually really nervous. Zhi Ziaduo suddenly felt that Xiang Cheng saying all this so seriously was too funny and such a contrast from the usual. Are you jealous of Xiao Bin? Zhi Ziaduo poked Xiang Cheng with his elbow. Xiang Cheng started laughing and said, You are outstanding, and it's very normal for someone to like you. I don't mean anything else, but sometimes, it's a little. Something. Zhi Ziaduo said, You're being a little mola fish-like right now. Sometimes I really don't think I'm the right one for you, but I'm too selfish. Even if I bring you into danger again and again, I'm not willing to let you go. Xiang Cheng said. Zhi Ziaduo drank milk and said vaguely, I was the one who sought you out. I think it's really good like this. If you were someone else, I wouldn't feel this way. This wasn't the first time that Zhi Ziaduo had thought this. He had just wanted a boyfriend. The reason why love was so bumpy was not because the love itself was bumpy, but because there was no end to this tumultuous feeling. Every time he felt like he could be together with Xiang Cheng, he would always feel nervous, out of fear that something would happen again that would separate them. And the devil seed in Xiang Cheng, his snake Huan, and the corrupted weapons, seemed very much like a curse. But when he looked back, if he hadn't been with Xiang Cheng, Zhi Ziaduo wouldn't have felt this feeling of wallowing so deeply in love. It was as if, from the day that he had followed Xiang Cheng to Beijing, his whole person seemed to have opened the door to a new world, and he had gained the momentum to move forward no matter what he did. If you unfortunately die, Zhi Ziaduo knew what Xiang Cheng was thinking and said solemnly, I won't look for another boyfriend. I only fell in love once in 26 years, and one time is enough. No matter how I search, I won't be able to meet someone who is more unforgettable than you. No. Xiang Cheng replied, don't think like that. I have never thought about who I would entrust you to. I will win out against myself. Zhi Ziaduo leaned back against Xiang Cheng's shoulder, feeling that a big battle was coming. He didn't know what step to take next, and he didn't know what awaited him deep in the mountains. But now that he had come here, at least things were already much better than what he had once imagined. The rain stopped, and the forest was filled with a silence that had never been seen before. It was so dark that when they stretched their hands out, they couldn't see their fingers. Let's go. Xiang Cheng murmured and reached out with his hand. Zhi Ziaduo took it and handed him the bag. They crossed the stream and began to climb up to Xiang Cheng's former home. A rugged footpath led them up the mountainside so dark that they couldn't even see their hands outstretched in front of them. They needed to avoid the Yao and devils that were scouting the mountain, pass through the resort village, and then climb over one more mountain. If they were lucky, they could get to the place where Xiang Cheng had been when he was young by dawn. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. Where are they? Jianwen shouted hysterically to his subordinates, search the mountain. The exorcists whispered quietly to each other, and everyone was standing in the town with a torch in their hands. Jianwen was standing in the open space in the middle of the town. There are Yaoguai everywhere outside. Someone said, Leader Jian, Beijing called and asked us to withdraw. Jianwen said, who wants to leave? Come out, I have approval from the highest level. No one came forward. Yaoguai. Jianwen said, I didn't see any Yaoguai. Where are the Yaoguai? Have the Yaoguai attacked you? Someone answered, the Yaoguai are outside, beyond this mountain. Don't mind the Yaoguai. Jianwen replied, now, let's do a grid pattern search. We must find Xiang Cheng. Set out. Immediately. The exorcists had no choice but to disperse and go into the depths of the mountains forests. When all the people were gone, Wang Lei stepped out of the shadows and said to Jianwen, lead them into the encirclement. Orders from the top say that we'll take care of them along the way as well this time. Jianwen smiled ominously and said, Leader Wang, have you forgotten something? My rank now is higher than yours. Wang Lei thought for a moment, nodded, and said, yes. You are responsible for leading the subordinates from the sacred land. Jianwen put on gloves, changed into camouflage clothes, and said, go to the area where Xiang Cheng once lived. My guess is that he will definitely return home at least once. After you track him down, don't act rashly. He is no match for me. Wang Lei did not speak. Instead, he nodded, whistled, and vanished into the darkness. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. The Exorcist Committee, late at night, Chen Zhen's office. Chen Lang yawned and woke up on the sofa. Chen Zhen was sleeping on the desk. Chen Lang touched Chen Zhen's back, and Chen Zhen woke up. Gag, are you going back home? Chen Zhen shook his head, rubbed his eyes, and glanced at his cell phone. It's been 12 hours, and we still can't get in touch with them. Chen Lang, when I woke up just now, I remembered something. Chen Zhen, what's the matter? Chen Lang, Zhi Ziaduo told me something about Xiang Cheng. That B we were talking about, I think regardless of whether he is a friend or a foe, B has made a move that is very meaningful. Chen Zhen looked at Chen Lang with slight confusion. Chen Lang, I remember that when Xiang Cheng came to Beijing, at the very beginning, he camped out at the place where the Jixian appeared every night until he finally found the Jixian. N. Then the Jixian led Xiang Cheng into an endless labyrinth. Was that something B set up? Was that done so B could observe Xiang Cheng? Chen Zhen got up at once, and Chen Lang ran after him. Chen Zhen pointed to the office and motioned for him not to go anywhere. Where are you going? Chen Zhen waved his hand to signal for Chen Lang to relax. He quickly went downstairs, went to the information department, searched for the information about the Jixian case, and found several photos of the drum tower. The top photo was of a beam plastered with charms, and a drum in the center of the room. Chen Zhen took the photo and started to walk out. While walking, he tried to call everyone on the other end. One call went through. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. Qiao Ben, riding on the back of Lang Dog, could not help gasping for air. Most of the wounds on his body had healed, but his coat had been torn to ribbons by the claws of the Yao and devils, so it was just hanging there, showing his lean muscles and hard chest. Lang Dog looked at the strange birds in the sky with fear. Qiao Ben said, "Jump over." "Jump ah." Lang Dog finally jumped, flying out of the canyon and soaring towards the opposite mountain. In a flash, all the circling birds noticed Lang Dog, flapped their wings, and let out sharp calls. Qiao Ben protected his head with both hands as he rolled over and threw out a handful of coins. The Yao birds hurried to run away. "None of their cultivation levels can match up to yours." Qiao Ben said, "Don't be afraid." Lang Dog jumped among the rocks. His paw slipped several times, and he nearly fell into the abyss. Qiao Ben grabbed the hair on Lang Dog's head, and Lang Dog barked loudly and wildly, which meant that it was very painful. A huge yaoguai slid across the mountain road ahead. Qiao Ben was startled, and he was about to go forward when he noticed it was the gray wolf. "It's me." The gray wolf opened its mouth and spoke in Kita's voice. Lang Dog let out a woo as it arced up. The gray wolf slapped its paw on the ground, sending mud splashing everywhere as it exerted its dominance. Lang Dog shook the water off himself and bowed his head meekly. "Where are Xiang Cheng's men?" Qiao Ben sighed with relief. "They are scattered in the mountains." The gray wolf said, "Fengli just contacted Xiang Cheng. Xiang Cheng's not sure where the ruins of the sacred land are either. Fengli can only do his best to bother Jinghao's subordinates and distract them." "Wang Lei has also come," Qiao Ben said. "Shit." The gray wolf curled its lips back, baring its canine teeth. There was a fierce glint in its eyes, as if it was hesitating over whether to go to Xiang Cheng or go help Fengli. "Follow me," the gray wolf said, "all of you get on my back." The gray wolf laid down on the ground, and Qiao Ben and Lang Dog jumped up. The gray wolf turned the corner and slapped a crow straight into the cliff, turning it into meat paste. It jumped down into the valley and dove into the prehistoric forest. A phone rang. Qiao Ben looked left and right, before finally Lang Dog wonderingly rummaged around his pants pocket and pulled out a cell phone. It was an unfamiliar number. "Woof." Lang Dog said. "It's me." Chen Zhen said on the phone, "This is a new number. My original number is being monitored." "Mom." Lang Dog said. "Chen Zhen, don't call me Mom. Turn on the speakerphone." Lang Dog pressed the speakerphone button, and Chen Zhen said, "Who is with you?" "Me," Kita said. "Me." Qiao Ben replied, "Xiaoduo and Xiang Cheng have lost contact with us. They're currently within the mountains. I'm in the Exorcist committee." Chen Zhen, dressed in a black suit, pushed open the door of the meeting room and went in, saying, "Kita, tell me the situation." The rain had stopped. The gray wolf squatted beside the stone in front of the cliff, hunched over slightly as it talked into the cell phone placed on the stone. "Is the old Buddha there?" the gray wolf asked. "I'm here." Lin Yura replied, "Give me a detailed report." Only Lin Yura and Zhou Mokuo were in the meeting room. Chen Zhen put his cell phone on the conference table, and the three of them were silent as they listened to Kita relay the news. Jian Wen was eaten by Jinghao, and Jinghao began to give orders to the exorcists using his identity. Wang Lei led the Yao and devils and scattered them throughout the mountains. The Yao and devils and the exorcists have split up now. We can't rule out the possibility of a fight, but our opponent has been very careful not to let the Yao and devils come into contact with any exorcists. Zhou Mokuo said, Go to the top of the mountain and check out the current situation and the terrain. It's too dark to see anything, answered the voice of the grey wolf on the phone. The wind blew, and the howling of the wind grew louder and louder. The old Buddha said, as soon as you find Xiang Cheng, leave there immediately. There is no signal on the mountain, the grey wolf said. We got split up. Even if we find Xiang Cheng, he will not leave. What exactly is he looking for? Zhou Mokuo said. At the top of the mountain, the grey wolf did not answer. He silently raised his head and looked out into the distance. On the phone, Lin Yura said, Jian Wen sent an order directly to Chongqing through the internal line of the National Security Bureau. We can't strip him of his authority, nor can we send out anything with the black box. I'm currently using my cell phone to contact the local exorcist committee in Chongqing to make them withdraw all their exorcists. Zhou Mokuo will bring people over to help you now. The grey wolf hung up and looked at Xiao Bin. *****. The Exorcist Committee. Zhou Mokuo packed his things, put on his coat, and went into the elevator with a briefcase in his hand. Chen Zhen came in, looking very tired. Go back to the office. Zhou Mokuo said, no matter what happens, at least keep the old Buddha company tonight. I'll send you off, Chen Zhen replied. Zhou Mokuo turned slightly and looked at Chen Zhen. Chen Zhen looked into Zhou Mokuo's eyes. Zhou Mokuo took a deep breath. The elevator door opened, and the two of them walked out together. I didn't expect that after so many years, Zhou Mokuo said, I would still have to go back to Ba Mountain. The last thing I want to face is this part of the past. I thought you knew about Xiaoduo being in my office, Chen Zhen said suddenly. What? Zhou Mokuo said in surprise. Chen Zhen suddenly and imperceptibly stepped back and looked at Zhou Mokuo. Their eyes met, and Chen Zhen nodded and made a gesture of letting him go forward first. Zhou Mokuo frowned slightly, as if he was thinking, but he didn't keep questioning him. Zhou Mokuo sat down, pondered for a moment, played a tune, and disappeared. Chen Zhen sat down at the piano. He sighed, and closed his eyes. His long fingers touched the piano keys. After a moment, he pressed down, and a sound came out. As he continued playing, the walls of the conference room rotated and disintegrated brick by brick. Chen Zhen was left standing in the quiet street at night. He opened the door to a car, got in, passed the exit of Yandaxi Street, and drove towards the drum tower. On the dark floor of the drum tower, Chen Zhen lit up his heart lamp and stood in the cobweb-covered space between the rafters. The paper charms and the broken drum had already been removed. He knelt on one knee on the ground and took out a small box from his bag. From inside the box, he took out a stack of yellowed paper charms, compared his surroundings with the photo, and restored the scene again. After affixing the paper charms, Chen Zhen took a deep breath and walked to the end of the beam. The wind blew through the forest. Zhi Xiaoduo and Xiang Cheng were panting as they got to the top of the mountain. It was 4 o'clock in the morning. ******. I can't go on. Zhi Xiaoduo said, let me have a rest first. I'll go scout ahead. Xiang Cheng said, I won't go too far from you. What's wrong? My dragon pupil. Zhi Xiaoduo said, I sort of can't see through it anymore. What's going on? Xiang Cheng. Zhi Xiaoduo covered his right eye and looked up into the sky. Before, he could see the outline of Yaoguai when using the power of the dragon pupil, but nowadays, he didn't know why, but his dragon pupil was growing blurrier. Do you not feel good? Xiang Cheng asked nervously. No, said Zhi Xiaoduo, don't be anxious. I feel fine, but I just can't see quite clearly with my left eye. Zhi Xiaoduo shook his head violently, as if he was recovering his vision. His left eye cleared, then would blur for a while. Xiang Cheng looked at his eyes carefully and said, damn it, the color of your dragon pupil is fading. Why? Zhi Xiaoduo asked, I haven't done anything recently. I know. Zhi Xiaoduo tried to recall if any Yao power had interfered with him recently, and after thinking about it, the only possibility was when Xiang Cheng had fed him the Neotian of the black-winged great peng. Maybe I digested the Neotian. Zhi Xiaoduo said, and it interfered with the power of the dragon pupil. Do you feel anything else? Xiang Cheng asked. No. Zhi Xiaoduo said, the power of the dragon pupil in my third eye chakra is affected, but it's fine. Zhi Xiaoduo looked left and right with his dragon pupil and found that he already couldn't see the outline of the Yao and devils in the sky. Xiang Cheng asked, can you see ordinary things? Yes, replied Zhi Xiaoduo. Then that's all right. Xiang Cheng said with a sigh of relief, when we go back to Beijing, we'll find Zheng Qin and have him take a look. It's just from the interference of the Yao power. Zhi Xiaoduo said, the black-winged great peng and the dragon are fierce enemies, so their Yao powers clashes. If we don't have the dragon pupil, then we don't want it anymore. Xiang Cheng said casually, a Yao Guai who put a Yao pupil in your eye before dying, who knows what meaning there is to that? Zhi Xiaoduo didn't know whether to cry or laugh. You aren't jealous right now, right? Xiang Cheng had a shadow of a smile. He motioned for him to wait under a tree, before turning into the boss snake and vanished into the darkness. After pondering for a moment, Zhi Xiaoduo took out a stack of paper charms from his bag, folded them, and praying that the Yao Guai wouldn't notice his movements, began to make a small magical weapon. At that moment, he sensed a symbol appear in front of him. That symbol was the spell that Zheng Qin had once taught him to hide the dragon pupil with. Zhi Xiaoduo. Just like the shadow, it disappeared in a flash. Suddenly, he seemed to see Chen Zhen's face in the shadow. Zhi Xiaoduo stopped, but Chen Zhen's face vanished as quickly as it had appeared. There was a bird singing above his head, and Zhi Xiaoduo was startled. When he looked up, he was enveloped by a huge snake tail. What's the matter? The snake head gently appeared behind Zhi Xiaoduo, its forked tongue flickering out. Nothing, said Zhi Xiaoduo. Should we go? Xiang Cheng asked. Wait just a sec, it'll be ready soon. We have probably been discovered, Xiang Cheng replied. Right away. Zhi Xiaoduo wrapped up the small totems and shoved them in a glass bottle as fast as he could, and ran to the signal tower. The boss snake was faster, it followed Zhi Xiaoduo and lifted him up. Zhi Xiaoduo slung the totems in the bottle up over on the top of the tower. Go. At the moment when Zhi Xiaoduo hung up the bottle, tens of thousands of birds flew into the sky, and the whole dense forest exploded, all of them chasing after the two of them. We've been discovered. A giant now flew from the tree and grabbed Zhi Xiaoduo by the collar. Zhi Xiaoduo shouted loudly as he was lifted up. He felt his body flew through the air, before the giant now screamed and was swallowed by the boss snake. The mouth of the snake closed, dangling Zhi Xiaoduo from its mouth as it rushed down the mountain with him. Zhi Xiaoduo flipped over and climbed onto the boss snake's neck. The broken branches of the surrounding trees smashed down like violent wind and rain, and Zhi Xiaoduo tightly clung to the snake's neck. It was as if he had gotten onto a high-speed train that was rampaging across the mountains and roaring away. Be careful. There was a construction site on the mountainside, with unfinished villas nearby. A deep pit for building foundations had been dug into the hillside. Zhi Xiaoduo saw that they were about to run into a house, but the boss snake ignored all the obstacles and ran right over them. The villas were smashed into pieces, and Zhi Xiaoduo was thrown off the moment they crashed into the house. Xiang Cheng regained his human form as he flew forward and grabbed him, smashing through the floor-to-ceiling window on the balcony with his shoulder. He jumped downstairs, turned into the boss snake again, and caught Zhi Xiaoduo. We've already shaken them off. Xiang Cheng said in his voice, hold on tight. Up ahead there is. Zhi Xiaoduo saw the dowdy. The dowdy opened its mouth and rushed towards Zhi Xiaoduo and the boss snake. The boss snake shook Zhi Xiaoduo off and rushed forward to collide with the Daodi. Xiang Cheng! Zhi Xiaoduo shouted. Zhi Xiaoduo looked around, then bent down and rushed to the other side of the construction site. He picked up part of the steel frame and smashed it hard on the pavilion beside the foundation, making a clatter and shattering the glass. The boss snake had wrapped itself around the Daodi, and they fell into the pit of the foundation. The huge pit had been filled with rain for days, and there was muddy water everywhere, the two of them stirring up that water like ripples across a deep pool. Then the boss snake, which was coiled around the Daodi, appeared on the other side of the pit. It turned its neck, opened its mouth and roared. The Daodi shook out its wings and rushed out dripping, biting the boss snake. The lights around the construction site came on at the same time. The strong light of the xenon lamps temporarily blinded the Daodi. Zhi Xiaoduo rushed out of the shed and shouted, "Xiang Cheng! Here!" The boss snake's tail lifted up out of the foundation pit, wrapped around the wooden pile, and pulled it in, where it fell into the middle of the muddy puddle. Then, the boss snake changed into Xiang Cheng in mid-air, and he ran unsteadily ashore. At the moment when the Daodi was about to take flight, Zhi Xiaoduo clicked a few buttons and flipped a switch. Arcs of high-voltage electricity streaked across the surface of the water, gathering from all directions towards the muddy puddle in the center. The Daodi immediately howled as it was electrocuted. It was only at this moment that Zhi Xiaoduo saw the real face of the Daodi. The Daodi's eyes were ring-like, with red light flashing in them. Lines crisscrossed its face, and its body was covered with thorns. A sharp horn jutted out from its forehead. The Daodi opened its mouth and roared. Its eyes stared at Zhi Xiaoduo, its wings unfolded completely as it was electrocuted. It was ferocious and terrifying, and it seemed that it could rush forward at any time to smash Zhi Xiaoduo into pieces. Zhi Xiaoduo felt a surge of fear inside. He stepped back slowly, realized something, and turned to run into the control booth. Zhi Xiaoduo ran out of the control booth with a key in his hand. Xiang Cheng ran over, completely exhausted, and Zhi Xiaoduo pushed him onto an excavator and stuck the key in the ignition. The excavator's tracks turned, and it rumbled to life. A flash of light that lasted for nearly half a minute in the canyon made the sky glow. Everyone in the mountains saw the light. "Sir, we found Xiang Cheng." "Hold your ground," said Wang Lei, "and withdraw all units." "But sir." "Don't worry about Dinghai," Wang Lei said, "follow Xiang Cheng, but don't do anything. You must follow him." The high-voltage electrical box exploded, and their surroundings fell into darkness again. Xiang Cheng leaned against the driver's seat and gasped for breath. Zhi Xiaoduo pulled at the joystick with both hands and watched the muddy puddle nervously. The Daodi had been stunned by the electricity, and its body couldn't stop twitching. With a heart-rending roar, the Daodi rushed out again, but this time it was much smaller in size. Zhi Xiaoduo had been waiting for this very moment, and his left hand pushed the joystick while his right hand pushed, sending the excavator's arm swinging out. "Die!" Zhi Xiaoduo roared fiercely. They watched as the excavator's iron arm swung out and hit the Daodi head-on with a thunderous blow. The Daodi's head made a dull thud, and it fell back into the foundation pit. End chapter.